Welcome guys, today's topic hits home. I'll touch upon one of the highly contested story of the century, the Jammu Kashmir. Now there's a lot of nuances in this part of the story and not all will be covered, but I will try to keep it balanced and cover the basic aspect of the stories. Jammu Kashmir has always been a princely state in a subsidiary alliance with the British from 1846 to 1858, and then it was ruled under the British Royal from 1858 to 1947, where it became a disputed territory under the Pakistan, India and China. After the Anglo-Sikh War, Gulab Singh, the ruler of Jammu Kashmir, signed a treaty with the British that made Jammu Kashmir independent and sovereign. It led to the establishment of the Dogra dynasty, where Gulab Singh was the king, ruling over a majority Muslim population, about 80%.
Years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
Then in 1947, it led to the establishment of Pakistan and India. August 14, 1947, Pakistan was created as a separate dominion for Muslims. India was created as a separate dominion for Hindus. The partition was the result of rising religious tensions and the demand of the All India Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, for a separate Muslim state. The decision was formalized in the Indian Independence Act 1947, passed by the British Parliament. The Radcliffe Line, named after Sir Cyril Radcliffe, was drawn to demarcate the boundaries between India and Pakistan, the largest mass migration in history. Around 10 to 15 million people were displaced. An estimated 1 to 2 million people died in the ensuing violence. Literal genocide were being carried out by both religious parties on either side, where you had the Muslims forcibly trying to convert the Hindus to Islam and the Hindus forcibly trying to convert Muslims to Hinduism. Now this is where it all led to in Jammu Kashmir, where Jammu Kashmir was in disarray on who to join with either Pakistan or India. Nationalism was on the rise against the British rule at the time, and this in turn led to the rise of Muslim Conference by Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah that wanted a change in the political structure in Jammu Kashmir. It was launched to remove the Hindu monarchy in Jammu Kashmir. Then Hari Singh orders the arrest of Sheikh Abdullah to kill the movement. Gandhi then visited Hari Singh afterwards and had advised the king that he can take his time and make up his mind if he wanted to join the Indian consulate, and had also insisted to the king to free Abdullah because the protest was growing in large numbers. Now after the partition, Hari Singh was still undecided on who to join with. Now Pakistan was eager for Hari Singh to join them. One, because of its Muslim population and the 6 rivers that flow through Kashmir into Pakistan, which were the source of Pakistan's water supply. Now at this point in time, the king was still undecided on who to join with. The reason he cited was because the Muslim majority of the population would not be comfortable with joining India, and the Hindu and the Sikh minorities in the state would become vulnerable if they joined Pakistan. Pakistan then launched Operation Gulmarg on 20th of August, a few days after it had gained its independence. The aim was to annex Kashmiri territories. The Pakistani-backed No Tax Uprising, which was instituted in the Poonch region, mainly Muslim men. The operation then leads to a full-fledged genocide of these Pashtuns, committing on the minorities in the area of Hindus and Sikhs and Buddhists, and then in retaliation, Muslims are then targeted by Hindus and Sikhs. India advises the king to release Abdullah to cool the temperatures in the state, so the king releases Abdullah. Now at this point in time, Pakistan felt that the king might align with India. So then Pakistan sends a special envoy to Sheikh Abdullah to encourage him to join Pakistan. But Abdullah had not still made up his mind on who to join with. You see, Abdullah's goal was to overthrow the Hindu monarchy, and he had his own propositions, and whichever country would accept them, he would join with them. At the same time, former armed rebels of Pashtun tribal under Brigadier Akbar Khan of the Pakistan Army and the local politician invade Kashmir Valley. Rebels that were propped up by the Pakistani government in Operation Gulmarg overtake Muzaffarabad, Mirpur, Poonch and renamed it to Azad Kashmir, which means Free Kashmir. Today it's known as POJK, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. Now Jammu Kashmir was facing attacks from everywhere, so this led to the king asking India for help and asking for military assistance. Kashmir accedes to India. On 27th October 1947, the then General Governor of India, Lord Mountbatten, accepted the accession. In a letter sent to the Maharaj, he said, "It is my government's wish that as soon as law and order have been restored in Jammu and Kashmir and our soil cleared of the invader, the question of the state's accession should be settled by reference to the people." India then decides to send in its military.
There is no doubt from any point of view that it was aggression by Pakistan. And we were intent in any law or fact to attack Pakistan. In order to avoid this war with Pakistan, we went to the Security Council.
Nehru, who was the Prime Minister of India, asked the UN Council help to end this conflict.
We came here because we did not want this conflict to expand, to become more intensive, to spread into larger acts of war.
The Council asked Pakistan to remove all state and non-state actors from Jammu Kashmir. India is asked to reduce its forces and military to pull back, and also install an interim government. The UN would assign a plebiscite administrator to understand what the people of Kashmir wanted. Neither party is happy. However, the new government is set up with Abdullah as its prime minister and the king as titular of head of state. But in 1948, the war in Kashmir still continued, even though they had set up a new government. Pakistan occupied Skardu in 1948. The Indian army took Dras and Kargil by November. Now this whole war was a huge strain on India and Pakistan's economy. Remember, both these countries were still newly formed and still had a nation to build. Soon India-Pakistan agrees to the first Indo-Pak war that ends in a stalemate. The king withdrew himself from the political scene and decided to leave Kashmir. The UN proposes the Dixon Plan, as both Pakistan and India were dragging the war. Sir Owen Dixon advocated states that with predominantly religion should be part of the neighboring countries. Jammu and Ladakh were mainly Hindu and Buddhist. They should be with India. Gilgit, Muzaffarabad, Poonch and Mirpur belts should go to Pakistan due to them having highly Muslim population. Pakistan was not happy with it. You see, as Ladakh would be part of India, the Indus River flowed from Tibet through Ladakh into Baltistan, so a good part of the river would be in India. India has many rivers. One of them is Indus, but Pakistan has only one river. So whatever happens to Indus will have a more impact on Pakistan, as Pakistan did not want to be beholden to India in a time of emergency. And eventually the Dixon Plan dropped as the meetings went nowhere. In 1960, Nehru and Ayub Khan signed the Indus Water Treaty, one of the 6 rivers of the Indus system. Pakistan got waters from 3, the Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, but the main dispute of Jammu Kashmir was still not resolved.
Situation created by the Indian aggression is leading the two countries to a point of no return. We shall defend our honor. We shall defend the territorial integrity with all the forces at our command.
Scale war against us.
Then came the turning point in the late 1980s, where India was rigging their state elections in Kashmir, especially in the 1987 assembly elections, which were widely seen as manipulated in favor of the ruling party aligned with the Indian centre. Many Kashmiris who had hoped for a change through democratic means began to feel betrayed and alienated. This political betrayal acted as a catalyst for a growing sense of resentment among the youth. Disillusioned with the Indian state, many of the young Kashmiri men turned to militancy, joining various armed insurgent groups that were beginning to emerge in the region. Some of these groups received support, training and arms from across the border in Pakistan, which saw the unrest as an opportunity to press its claim over Kashmir. The late 1980s and early 1990s saw the rise of full-scale militancy in the Kashmir Valley. Attacks on Indian armed forces increased and civilian life was thrown into chaos. In response, India deployed a large number of troops into the region, giving rise to heavy militarization. This was also the time when terrorist attacks became frequent and violence spread to civilian areas, leading to mass migration, especially of the Kashmiri Pandits, a minority Hindu community that was forced to flee the valley due to targeted killings and threats. Both India and Pakistan made several attempts to negotiate peace, including talks during the Agra Summit in 2001 and later during the Lahore Declaration in 1999. However, the talks often collapsed, either due to a lack of trust, changing political climates, or act of terrorism like the Kargil War in 1999, or the 2001 Indian Parliament attack, which further soured relations. Meanwhile, in 2004, George Bush, the US president, weighed in, but the matter remained deeply sensitive and entrenched as a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan.
President Musharraf, he must stop the incursions across the line.
Over the years, the sentiment in Kashmir has evolved, with some demanding a complete independence, while others are favoring a unity with Pakistan, and yet others want a genuine autonomy with India. However, none of these aspirations has fully realized, and the region continues to witness cycles of protest, crackdowns, and disillusionments. Today, Kashmir remains one of the most militarized zones in the world, and it's a tragedy of how a princely state and an indecision to make in 1947 spiraled into one of the most complex and enduring conflicts of modern times.